Hangouts. Here we go. We are live on YouTube. And we're about to start. Just 1 second. I'll be recording. All right, everybody. Can you see me? 1 second, gallery speaker. I just see you, Drew, for some reason on the spot. Okay, so let me put you. Okay, just a second. Let me. All right. Okay, all right, everyone. Hello, my name is Danil Kislinskiy. I'm the founder of Go Global World, and here today, in the beginning of 2022, we are starting a new project of our global organization, and this is called GGW Weekly Startup News. And this is where 3 entrepreneurs will discuss most important topics or news around the world that relate to startups, venture capital, and some good findings that could help entrepreneurs to accelerate their businesses while building and going global. So here with me today, I have Andrew Vasserman from Seattle, the founder of Logyc. Hi, Andrew. Good to see you.
Hi, guys.
And Drew Berile from Los Angeles, ambassador of Go Global World. And they actually both ambassadors at Go Global World and great entrepreneurs with lots of experience in venture capital and startup world. So the idea of this podcast, weekly podcast, is actually give you top 1 single new per speaker, where we will spend very little time just giving you the most important thoughts we have on specific topic, and we will move on. So you don't have to spend too much time on watching like long videos. And as a surprise for our paid members who are subscribed on our paid membership on YouTube channel, you will see our detailed answers on specific topics and detailed recommendations. So if you are not subscribed to our paid YouTube channel, just go for it now. This is here below. You can get on our membership. But before we begin, don't forget to smash the like button, leave your comments below. And of course, if you're not subscribed, do so now, and you will be updated on the next podcast. And we are planning to do it every week. And without waiting, I'm going to start with my first finding. I think there is one hot news that I managed to find, and I think that would be interesting to discuss. This relates a lot to startup world, because there is very well-known phrase, fake it till you make it. And now we have a startup on the news, a negative news, but a good learning for us, Theranos. Elizabeth Holmes, she was convicted guilty today and might go to prison or get a large fine very soon. So it doesn't matter on what she was found guilty or details of that. But the most important why she was found guilty. So there was a few things that founder did incorrectly and got into this situation. And we need to understand, like, where is this barrier or like a limit where you can fake it, and where is the reality where you have to be like delivering what you promised. So it's important that entrepreneurs understand this. And since we are here also entrepreneurs, I would like to know opinion of each of us. And we will spend up to 5 minutes on this topic, and we'll move to the next one. So I will start with myself. I think here there is an interesting case because the founder, Elizabeth Holmes, she's from Stanford. And if you're from Stanford, you already have a lot of credibility just because you're from Stanford. She was from chemical engineering faculty, and she she has good connections and credibility because of being in that network. It's also Silicon Valley, and because of all of that, she managed to raise over $900 million. So people expected something, a breakthrough. It was one of the most promising startups in Silicon Valley back then, a couple of years ago, like something like 5 years ago. And all of a sudden, everyone realized that what she was doing is not, it won't happen. It's just a fake. And because of that, she got in trouble, and now she is convicted guilty. My opinion is actually to think of this kind of consequences in advance, where you possibly can get into this situation. And so if you believe that in the end of the day you have so much money and you'll solve everything, it might not happen like that. The court or the law will follow you, and investors will not forget that something that you lied to them. And the other thing is important, and it's super important on our community, is the reputation. I doubt that the founder who lied, especially when they found guilty on specific things like this, will be able to build another company or raise capital. I think it's not possible. You guys may talk me out and say otherwise, but I doubt she will be able to build as a new startup in the coming future, like at least in a decade or so. Well, what's your thoughts on this? Let's have a 3 to 5 minute discussion and move on to the next topic. Like Andrew. Oh, okay. Let's go.
Well, I think it's really important to discuss fake till you make it, just because a lot of people who start a startup, they think that they need to fake it in order to make it. And there's a number of examples. We're going to talk about Tesla in a second, where they're pre-selling cars that they haven't made, that they haven't produced yet, at least at mass scale. And they're number one company in the world right now when it comes to manufacturing, at least, of automobiles. On the other hand, we also have landing on the moon, which the president said we're going to do within a decade without having any idea of how they're going to do it, as long as we have enough money and time for us to be able to accomplish it. So there is a strand where we believe that first we have to overpromise, and then we will somehow figure out a way to deliver it, or we'll hire someone who can figure out how to deliver it. And sometimes that gets a lot of companies in trouble because not having an idea how you're going to deliver something and selling it as if you already delivered it is illegal, as we've learned. I don't know if I'll agree that she will not be able to build another company. I also don't know if she'll really get a serious punishment or it will be probation. But in either case, you are not her. So I wouldn't expect the same punishment. Yours might be much, much worse. Just because you're not a public profile, you're not from a wealthy family, you're not from Stanford, you are not a famous enough person to get a slap on the wrist. So it doesn't matter how this ends up in the courts, what the punishment is, you have to be very careful about over-promising what you cannot deliver. And another lesson I think from the story is, I think from following what she has done as the CEO of a company, she's been trying to imitate Steve Jobs, dressing like him, acting like him. You should probably not try to be anyone else but yourself. So trying to be the next Steve Jobs by dressing like Steve Jobs and acting like Steve Jobs, probably not going to work for you. And the third lesson that I think it's important is trade secrets. A lot of companies in the early stages, we don't have money for patents, and we can have 100 different patent lawyers. So they will use trade secrets as a way to protect their intellectual property. Now, when you're using trade secret to protect your intellectual property already designed, like Tesla cars, you have the design of a car that actually works, but no one really knows what goes inside of it, that's fine. When you're using trade secrets as a cover-up, we have nothing, but we use a trade secret umbrella as you can't look inside. That's kind of illegal. So be very careful about what you promise when you can't deliver.
That's so interesting. I totally agree with that. Drew, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely second Andrew's thoughts. I think in this ecosystem, there's a widespread, right? There's the entrepreneur who has a good idea, but really maybe doesn't know how to make the product and does need the expert help. And there's imposter syndrome and a little fake it till you make it. I think that's kind of healthy. And I think most people have that. Athletes, politicians, everybody has a little bit of that element. But I think the dangerous water, even going past the gray into that blacker, darker water, is where we see with Elizabeth Holmes, where I think her idea and her product was great. She had great credibility on paper. I think there were definitely some red flags, which I'm curious to kind of get your guys' feedback on that is, if I'm an investor, her acting like Steve Jobs, dressing in the black turtleneck, having investors come on site, but they can't go behind the Wizard of Oz veil, to Andrew's point, to actually see trade secrets. No one can see behind the curtain. At what point do investors and do we as a community start to say, hey, something's not right here? This is going from imposter syndrome to something completely fraudulent. And I think Elizabeth Holmes, personally, hindsight's 2020, there were a lot of signs here. And I'm just curious, did we all bury them for the promise of this amazing product? Or were we all very naive and we were just like, no, she's going to deliver, sort of to Elon Musk point, like he has a history of delivering, maybe she can do it. Those are kind of the things that really interest me on this particular topic. And I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts are. Like, do you think there were red flags here?
I think there were, and I think she's just a great saleswoman. And what really inspires me in this case that she managed to raise $900 million. That means she had a very, very good strategy of fundraising. She created some fear of missing out for investors. She got top names, top funds backing her. And with that, she managed to convince many other funds. So that means like, if those guys on board, that means like we should also join just because otherwise we lose on some breakthrough and we are missing on some next Facebook in chemistry or in biotech. That was maybe very smart of her, but raising $900 million is like a great job actually.
Yeah, I think it's an example of herd mentality when it comes to investors. Just like Danil said, when someone else invests and you think they know better than you, you follow their lead. But were there red flags of how she was dressing or acting? Yes. However, you can say the same exact thing about Jack Dorsey, how he dresses up, what his diet looks like, and how crazy he acts. Does that mean that you shouldn't invest in Square or Block right now? Not necessarily. So you could debate that really talented people sometimes are off when it comes to social skills, or at least play that image. She was playing it to a point where it wasn't even her. She was just trying to be like someone. Versus, I think like even Jack Dorsey's case, it's just he's experimenting and like trying to figure out what he's doing. So right. It's hard to tell based on how people act if they are actually building a great product or not. But this is where you have to really understand what the product does and can it actually do something? Is it physically possible? If you don't really understand it and you're following someone else's lead and you lose some money, it's really hard to go back and say, hey, I lost some money, I want it back because this dude invested.
Yeah. Right. And with that, I suggest to move to the next topic. And Andrew, you'll be the next. And I know you picked something around Tesla. Let's go for it.
Yeah, so Tesla announced a couple of days ago that they had record quarterly results. They beat estimates. Actual professional analysts who invest in companies underestimated the ability of Tesla to deliver cars by over 40,000 cars, which is amazing to us because Mercedes can't deliver cars for over a year. So because of chip shortages, the customers are waiting for over a year just to get their cars. Tesla is delivering record numbers. And this is another example of where is fake it till you make it crossing the line. Tesla is collecting deposits in millions of dollars, promising billions of dollars in cars that they haven't produced yet. And their price per earning ratio is over 100, which means people believe they will not only overtake Ford and GM and every other company, but solar company, energy company, a whole bunch of other companies. So they will disrupt a number of different industries. That's what valuation actually tells us. And Elon Musk is just debatably as crazy as Elizabeth Holmes, So are those red flags that we shouldn't invest in a company? And to my point, I am a big believer in entrepreneurs as long as they don't commit frauds to defraud investors. I think in Tesla case, Elon Musk actually believes he can deliver. And we see examples of Cybertruck. We see the car that actually drives. It's not like he says, oh, there's a car, but we will never show you the car. And second is they actually invest in the processes, understand it from beginning to the end. Not only is they're starting to eliminate a lot of suppliers by actually doing it themselves, they are re-engineering the manufacturing plants to be able to build cars with different combination of robots that no one else in the industry uses. They spent 200 man years on building their own ERP system instead of using SAP that the industry uses. When you're doing so many different things from beginning to the end and understand the product, then I think you have the potential versus just collecting money and saying, hopefully someone else will figure this out. I'd love to get your thoughts, guys.
Yeah, Drew, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think it's a good topic. I think my feedback is twofold. Number one, as you guys know, maybe the audience doesn't know, I have a marketing background. So I think both parties, Elizabeth Holmes and Elon, do great marketing. I think Elon's marketing is very much geared around that underdog, progressive, innovative story, right? He is the man against the wall. It's the 11th midnight hour. Can he do it? Right? It's very Field of Dreams, kind of like that American tale, like, will we win? Will we make that 3-pointer and win the game right at the end? And I think that's part of his brand and kind of just who he is. And that brings hype around it. That gets investments. People want to see Elon fail or succeed. So just from a general standpoint, I don't think we're seeing something uncharacteristic from Elon or Tesla. I think they're pretty much on brand here. I think to that point, Elon does make the 3-pointer, right? To keep with the metaphor I'm using, is he has delivered. He has a precedent of coming through on what he says he's going to do on products and services. Has he failed? Sure. But he'll be the first to get on 60 Minutes and cry about it and say, hey, look, we dropped the ball here.
Yeah.
Right? Or my heart was in the right place. And he'll have a sincere kind of, approach to it and say, hey, look, we tried to do something big and we missed the mark. And here's where I failed. And here going forward, here's where we're going to correct course so that Tesla does what it says it's going to do. And Elon's going to do what Elon says he's going to do. And I think that's a really stoic and admirable feature of Elon Musk. And I think it's something that a lot of founders and entrepreneurs have. And if they don't, it's something they should really double down on. If you're going to overpromise, that's fine. If you don't deliver, be the first to say you overpromised. And I think that helps alleviate the sort of fake it till you make it or that bad imagery that comes around with a lot of entrepreneurs. All
right. And I think I totally agree with you guys. I think here is a very there is a focused strategy specifically for Elon, in my opinion, and for his companies, especially Tesla, where they invest they invest a lot in his personal brand. This guy is all those companies, and on one end, he's super aggressive entrepreneur. He takes the goals that no one else is willing to take or afraid to take, because they are mostly they are not sure if they ever deliver on this. And but Elon, he already proved that he delivers. Even after he fails, he still tries to deliver. He promises a dream, as you say, and people want to have a dream. And with all of that, and with his engineering mindset, he gives something like some kind of unique charisma and a promise of a better future. So everyone supports him because of his personal brand. His personal brand is so powerful. It's like an asset for his companies. And if Tesla fails, Elon Musk is not failing as a brand. And the government will support him. Some large investors will support him, just because he wants this to happen. And he will cry in the news, and then he will raise another round of not billions but trillions of dollars And I'm sure just because of that, those failures because on something where he's not delivering, if it ever happens, won't impact much his business. It is protected, but his personal brand. And as my learning out of it, invest early in building your personal brand. First steps are very difficult and might not give you much returns in the short term, but in the long run, it pays you off. It pays you off a lot because you are surrounding yourself with quality audience, with quality network, and that's important for any business, because business solving someone's problem, and you always need support of the network to open doors you can't open. Elon can open almost every door now. Yeah.
I would just add to it. I think the learning is not just that you have to build your personal brand. I don't necessarily think that Elon spent all the time building it. I think what you have to pay attention to is Elon might miss the mark when it comes to timing, and he often does. So if he says the car will be here in a year, it might take 3 or 4 years to deliver the car. But so far, we received everything he promised. So if he says we're going to deliver a certain car, he was actually able to build it. It wasn't, oh, sorry, guys, it's impossible to build it. So we understand that he actually has the domain expertise to be able to deliver what he promises, first of all. And second important part is he will not just go and cry about something not being able to complete it. He will explain why it was such a challenging task to begin with, and saying that, hey, we are a startup. If you think about it, SpaceX and Tesla is still a startup, probably the world's largest startup, but it's still a startup. So saying that we underestimated how much time and complexity something will take is okay, as long as your investors and your customers understand that you are still experimenting. You're doing something that never was done before. So trying to estimate how much it's going to take to build robots to be able to do something that no one else ever done in the world, and it took you a year extra because it's too freaking complex, that's okay. But going and raising $900 million and then saying, oh, I don't know if this product is even possible to be built. We never actually had any serious reason to believe it could be done from a scientific perspective. We're just hoping it could be done. That's a completely different conversation. So the lessons here is always make sure you understand how something works. And if you're not going to deliver in time, it's okay. But going out and saying, hey, this product should have never existed, couldn't exist, and doesn't make any sense, that's a different story.
And it's a good example also for entrepreneurs in developing countries where failing is the worst thing can happen in your life. Elon Musk is showing everyone that failing actually was moving your business forward, because this is how you find answers to unknown, or to something that no one knows, building innovative business. And this is how you bet on the things when you have like 50% of the information in front of you. And he's a good example of building something beautiful in the world. All right, so great conversation so far. I really like it, really inspiring, and gives so much potential for entrepreneurs, in my opinion. Drew, what's your topic you want to bring today, and happy to discuss it.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we were talking offline, I took a little bit of a different approach today. I know we did those specific case studies, but as you guys know, I do a lot of conversations with the VCs for our podcast arm and things like that. And we were just getting to talking, and I noticed a lot of startups are coming in in the European market and the Asian market and the Baltics. It's really the hot spot for entrepreneurs and startups now. And a lot of US-based VCs want to get in on the action, but they're having a really hard time finding qualified people to join their teams and operate in the European market, the Asian market, and not just from a talent perspective, but they don't understand the culture, they don't understand the marketplace itself, things like that. And it's been a really big hurdle with a lot of the people I've been talking about. And it's affecting companies like Sequoia, Bessemer, Lightspeed, Catalyst. Like a lot of big names are really struggling with finding great VC candidates to either lead their headquarters or just do the scouting or the venture associate stuff. And kind of to your point with Elizabeth Holmes, a lot of them were saying, hey, this is a bottom-up thing as well, the fake it till you make it. We have a lot of great candidates who worked at a family office or have that Stanford or Harvard credential stamp, but when you get them into the office, they couldn't find themselves out of a wet paper bag with scissors. right? There's a lot of talk. Oh, I can do a P&L sheet. I can do the memos. I can do the analysis, the due diligence. And then they get there, they're greenhorns. They need to be their hand held, or they can't do it at all. And then, conversely, all the great candidates that are out there are just getting eaten up. And even if they do get hired, the learning curve is atrocious. So you take a, educated kid from, let's say, New Haven, Connecticut. Let's say he went to Harvard and he got his master's. He did the family office route. You throw him over into London or Southeast Asia, he's a fish out of water, right? Now he can do the work, but he doesn't know anything. He doesn't speak the language, or she doesn't speak the language. And it's been a really big pain point I've noticed for a lot of funds and VCs. And I was just curious, in your guys' experience, like, have you seen this? What do you think would be good advice for these VCs?
Andrew?
Well, I think it's a two-part conversation. First of all, I think it affects not just VCs. I think it affects people who are trying to hire a data scientist. It affects people who are trying to find great people in the startup world. And I think startup became a hot topic. Entrepreneur and founder became a celebrity. 20 years ago, you could go to Palo Alto downtown and all the top founders of Facebook and Google will just hang out in a cafe next to you. Today, they are celebrities. And this celebrity gave so many reasons for people who shouldn't be doing startups to become a founder and come up with ideas and want to join the world, that it creates a huge problem of how do you find the right people to be able to invest in. And that became a challenge because being a founder, you have to be able to do many different things. It's extremely challenging, extremely hard. Most people will give up. Most won't be able to build a company. And that's the type of operational experience that Silicon Valley was able to take advantage of when they talk to venture capitalists. They will take the operational people from successful startups and make them venture capitalists. When you're going to countries that don't have a developed ecosystem of startups, and you're trying to take operational people from the perspective of he knows how to manage one department, he will be able to find the best people who will be able to run a startup. It's a really challenging thing to do. They've never done it before themselves. So it's a great opportunity for people who want to get into the space because the bar is so low, but it's really hard for companies to go and scale operations worldwide.
No, that's a really good point. And I think I've noticed, to your point, that there are a few organizations and firms that are doing exactly that. And they're pulling, operation leads from Uber Eats and saying, hey, you're now a general partner, or you're now going to run this. We believe in your capabilities. You don't necessarily check the traditional boxes, but figure it out. And I think that is the solution. I think you're right.
Go ahead.
To be fair, if the person was in the room with the founder making decisions from day one for the first 5 years of growing the company, he probably understands the personality traits and decision-making skill set that the person who can build a company has. If a person is coming from a much larger organization where his department never communicated with the rest of departments, he doesn't necessarily have access to the same type of people and skill sets. And it's much easier to be able to find, hey, he looks like my boss, he acts like my boss, he might be successful, versus he looks like my colleague at a large enterprise who never built a company, but I kind of like him, so why don't we hire him or invest in him?
Right.
I think startups are missing out, and VCs who are trying to push startups to hire the right guys are missing out on an opportunity to hire entrepreneurs, or maybe people with good education that are immigrating to the States. If you're talking about the States, people that are hungry, that are willing to deliver, they might not be able to get into Stanford or get to Google because there is like a very, very difficult and hard process to get enrolled, and not everyone can go through this, or maybe for many reasons, not only money or something. However, there are brilliant people out there that are left behind by tech companies and startups, the promising startups. So they're looking for the best engineers from top schools or from top tech companies. in the end of the day, it should be the other way around, because when I hire people into my startup, I look not only on the background he had, but also how much he has, I would say, like sparkle in his eyes. So he's like willing to take a lead on something, and he has a genuine passion about that. And if he doesn't have enough experience, I would invest my time into helping this person to activate his opportunities and go full speed to achieve something, rather than just have his big names and large expectations on his pay, and having a lot of expectation and then be disappointed because he under-delivered and it cost you so much. So that's my thought on that.
No, I think that's a good point. And I've always loved that about you. I mean, I've been working with you for a while. I think you're one of the few businessmen and entrepreneurs that has a good sense of looking at those soft skills, right? Looking beyond the academic credentials or the experience, and finding the core of the individual. And I think that, to Andrew's point, taking the alternative route and looking at people a little bit differently might be the solve for this industry problem that's arisen.
Yeah, I would add, thank you for that. I would add that in the world of COVID right now, there is plenty of opportunities for startups that are trying to be more effective and aggressive on the market, delivering even better than before. There is plenty of smart people outside the United States. They can hire people in Eastern Europe, in Asia, in very undeveloped countries, smart guys that are actually develop themselves. And this works the other way around for startups that are trying to get to the States because they are trying to get their high evaluation, better fundraising. And instead of hiring local team that would cost them a fortune, they may hire local immigrants or maybe students that could give them access to the market and won't have much expectations on the salary. And at the same time, they would they would appreciate an opportunity to be in an innovative, growing company and be among the first hired. So those people might be your future leadership team for that market if you pick the right ones.
Right.
Yeah, and in the beginning, they might be a good asset for you because they don't ask as high pay as those guys who has already plenty of experience.
Right.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I think that's it for today. That's all we got for you. We have 3 big news that we picked and discussed for you. I think it already brought a lot of value. And for those who are subscribed to our YouTube membership part, so go below and subscribe if you're not there. We have another part, and we will discuss how to develop a startup, and we'll discuss every single step that might be necessary to do while you're building a global startup from the first step to the end. Thank you so much for those who are watching us on our YouTube channel. And now we're moving on to our paid subscribers, and we will post this video shortly after. Thank you.